Hey everyone, this is Bridget, and today we're going to be talking about how to increase synchronicity and spiritual experiences. Because many of you see other people having these crazy experiences, or you might have friends and it's like, well, why isn't that happening to me? Or how do I increase that? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So to begin, it's very important to understand that we have to be really present to the things that are already happening to us, and also the language in which our soul, our higher self, our guides and non-physical beings speak to us. We have a particular language that we need to understand within ourselves. So this takes incredible self-awareness and just being present to how these communications take place. Now, how to begin to figure that out is through the things that are already happening. So for instance, you might be having some kind of like a profound epiphany moment, or like a whoa, what was that kind of experience. And so seeing what those things are. They could be like, oh, a crazy lucid dream, a contact experience, a sighting, you're telepathic with someone, you kind of foresee the future or have some kind of deja vu. You might feel the presence of a non-physical being in the room. You might have a contact from your guide. You might see an orb, or you might feel an energetic, chakra opening, like maybe in your body. All these kinds of things, or synchronicities that take place that align for manifestation. So probably in that list, there's something that you've experienced maybe in the past month or some time ever. So this is the place to begin. What is happening in your life? So for this video, we're going to be talking primarily about documentation of what is. Because the biggest way to increase experience is to validate the experience that's already happening. Because what that does is it increases the momentum through the validation of these non-physical or non-normal experiences, so that your energy body, your psyche, is synchronized to be okay with and to actually encourage more of it. So I see this happening all the time. Like, I'll talk to a client and I'll be like, okay, so, have you been having any types of things happening? And they're like, no, just nothing's happening for me. I have, maybe a contact dream every month, and I might, astral project, but, not very much is happening. And I'm like, what? That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's start there. Start there. Even if it's something that hasn't happened recently, if it happened ever, there's something I know that happened for you sometime. And so the best then way is to document that non-physical experience, that beautiful cosmic synchronicity, whether that's in the daily life or something beyond, and then actually bring it into form, manifest form here into the reality. That's the way that we validate it, okay? So you have to figure out what really anchors that into this reality for you. It could be many different things. For me, obviously, it's videos, right? It's talking, it's speaking it into manifestation, and also the reflection of other people, then getting the feedback, which is an extra kind of validation of those experiences. It could be through words, it could be through journaling, it might be through talking to certain friends that you trust and like, or a certain healer you have, and just speaking that to them. And in this process, part of it is also getting it documented so it doesn't disappear. So it's incredibly important to, call up your friend Susan and tell her about this thing that happened to you today, but you'll want to record it. So record it on your phone, or write it down, or have some kind of documentation. It might be so energetic that it's something that can't come through in the form of words or speaking. It might need to come through in the form of song, in the form of sound, in the form of color, in the form of painting, in the form of, scrapbooking, or putting different pictures together that then create that, a little bit of that vibrational resonance of that thing. So however that looks for you, because people have different giftings of how they are meant to ground it into this reality. So out of that list, see which works for you. It might be a few multiple things. It might just be one. And so what you're going to want to do is actually have some kind of you're a journalist of your own awakening, okay? You're a journalist of your own life. And your life is actually interesting, if you let it be interesting. That's what I find. Like, I find people so freaking interesting. And so do your best to find yourself interesting, to investigate your own inner plane, how things work to you and come to you. So look at it through that lens. So however you're going to document it, decide right now, pause it, this video, whatever, decide, be like, yes, journaling is my key to success, or whatever it is. And then you're going to create a space for that. So whether it's like the recordings on your phone or however you're going to do it, you're like, okay, now throughout the day, if anything comes up, if I see an orb, I write it down or I speak it, whatever it is, so that that's captured. Oh, I had this crazy dream. Okay, that's captured. And one of the reasons that we're capturing it is because these things fade. The programs of this dimension are quite physical. This is a physical reality, third density. And so these quasi-physical or non-physical experiences, in a way, they're kind of aloof, you know, and they're amorphous, and it's like hard to capture because they're not physical. And so they fade really quickly. Like, think about when you had, say, a dream that was profound, and by noon you can't even remember the details, right? This is what I'm talking about. And so what we're doing is we're capturing that essence of spirit, really, and of our own experiences, and we're going, hey, no, you're coming down into this reality. And part of this too that we're doing is thus then we're moving ourselves more into a higher density by the fact of validating the higher density, right? So this will help so much when you're having these moments of doubt. You're like, oh, I don't think that really happened, or I think that was just my imagination. You can go back to your journal entry and be like, no, that was pretty damn real. Like, I had an experience when I was in southern Utah, outside of Zion, camping by myself, and I fully physically levitated through the tent in the middle of the night. And I was like woken up, and it was like, remember this, you levitated through the tent. And I knew, like, it was so freaking real. And the second I got through the tent and I was above it and being beamed up on a ship, I blacked out. But right when I got back from that experience, I wrote it down in my journal. I immediately texted Patrick, my boyfriend, and I was like, this is what happened. Like, I want to validate and remember. And as I looked back on it, I was like, yeah, I don't think that actually happened. But then I had the documentation, and then I had the confirmation from Patrick, and he was like, no, you said that you really did. So that really helped validate the experience. So those moments where we really need to not just blow them off. So where does skepticism come into this? Because I'm all about healthy skepticism. This comes in after the experience is had. Because if you're in this moment of this experience, whatever it may be, even if it's just subtle, like even a deja vu, if you break yourself out of it and you're like, what is this? This isn't real, then it stops. It stops the energy flow of this communication happening with the spirit realm. And so that's not helpful. Like, if I was like halfway through like levitation and like, this isn't real, like it just disappears, right? So it's very important to let the experience fully come to pass and the emotional reaction of that come to pass. You might have like a profound dream memory of being on a different planet or being this other person or whatever it is. Letting that fully sink in to your cellular body, because that's why it's happening, to awaken and to enlighten your frequency and to create more remembrance. So you might have like a dream that stays with you for like a whole day. Let it stay with you. And then after you're done, like after it's complete, the energy's gone, the energy's like integrated, however you want to look at it. Then you can look back at it and go like, okay, now, was that my mind? Was that my imagination? Or was that really real? And once you have the documentation and all that, you can actually then go in like a journalist and be like, was that real? Was that not? And then you can actually refine if you're bullshitting yourself or if you're not. And this is a really good way of doing it, but just don't do it during that experience. So this documentation is going to help it not fade, and when you have doubt, bring it back. And also the other thing that it's going to do is so that over time you can see what's happening. You have a greater awareness of the full spectrum of your awakening, or of your experiences with the non-physical realms, with synchronicity, with this spirit world, so that you can see what's happening over time, right? So you can go, I'm not having any experiences at all. But then you look back at your whatever video log or whatever you're gonna do, and you go, wow, I documented, 5 things this week, or I documented 5 things this day, or 5 things this month, whatever it is. And then over time you can see maybe the next month, I had 1 thing. It like went away. Where did it all go? And then you can start to see that, oh, I was working really hard this month, and I started watching this TV show, or I started this bad habit up, or whatever this is, and it actually decreased my contact or experiences. Or the opposite, I really went for it and I've been like following my passion, or I've been like breaking those old habits and like instilling new good ones, and all of a sudden there's more of the connection. So we can also then self-assess better ways that we can go through our daily lives more aware, more awake, more consciously, that then increases. So we can go, okay, are my experiences increasing or are they decreasing? What can I do to adjust them? So we can come at this from actually a quite logical, rational way, because it is kind of like scientific, like in the way of, if we're a certain energy, we'll attract that, and if we're not, we won't. So there are moments of ebb and flow where when you're first starting on the path, you have tons of experiences, or when you have that break, like that breakthrough, and there's going to be a lot more stuff happening. This is so that you even continue at all. It's like, here, it really is real. You really are awakening, and you have a lot of stuff happening. And then over time, once you're on kind of the path, like you're committed, then actually the experiences start to fade away a bit, because then you're in it. You're already like on the train. So in that moment, your soul doesn't have to keep on validating to you that this whole thing is real. And you can just get on with your life, get on with creating things that change the world, continue with your personal practices and stuff. And you already know that it's happening. So you don't have to have as many external reflections. So there is this ebb and flow as you go into it, and then it'll come back up, and there will be moments where like more experiences flare up, more don't. And it's fun to assess, like, why? Is it like astrology? Is it what you're doing in your life? Like, why is it decreasing? Why is it increasing? And if it isn't there, how is that serving you? Because there's been many times where I can sense beyond the veil of this non-physical realm, and I can sense my guides, or I can sense like, my cosmic support, and they're just like very quiet. They're like, don't bother her. She's doing like earth stuff. Like she's helping on this other level. And if we keep on feeding her information, she's going to get distracted and just go like this, and her focus is not going to be on the earth mission. So this is one of the things that happens as well. So the point of this is building momentum of what already is happening all around you, so that it doesn't fade away. You can see that a lot of things you're experiencing, and then in that there's this momentum built that increases it to happen more in your life, whether that's synchronicity or spiritual experiences. So this is a really good way that I've found to do it. So document, validate your experiences, and then skeptically look at them, and you'll have more come to you, and you will remember it, and it'll be a much more rich awakening. And there's things over time that you might look back in like 3 years and be like, oh my God, that finally makes sense. So who knows where this is going and how the puzzle pieces will line up. It might not feel valid at this moment. You're like, I don't even know what that means, but it might in a couple years. This is a very non-linear experience. So even documenting it has an inroads to go back to that thing, to start to put together the puzzle of the bigger picture. So this has been a really helpful experience and approach for me. So I hope that you take me up on it, and comment below to let me and the community know how you're going to do it. Like, what is the way that you communicate and you bring to physicality your spiritual experiences? I'm curious to know. And I really appreciate you watching. Subscribe and like. Hit the bell button if you want notifications when new videos come up. And check me out on Instagram and Facebook for more daily updates. And I'll be back next Sunday with another video.